A man spends decades killing people, and no one even realizes it. No headlines, no massive investigations, no public panic. Just people slowly disappearing. And then one day, that man calmly says, "I killed 93 people." This isn't fiction. This is the story of Samuel Little, a man who wasn't just dangerous, but invisible. The scariest part of this story isn't just the murders, it's how the system failed. How one man lived in plain sight for decades, moving freely, blending in, while doing something unimaginable. Samuel Little was born in 1940 in the United States. From the very beginning, his life lacked stability. His mother lived a chaotic life, and he was mostly raised by his grandmother. There was no strong structure, no consistent guidance, and no real sense of direction. Even as a child, there were signs that something wasn't right. In school, he struggled with behavior. Fights, aggression, and a constant tendency to break rules became a pattern. As he grew older, that pattern didn't go away. It got worse. By his teenage years, crime had already become part of his life. Theft, assault, trouble with the law. He was arrested multiple times, sent to jail, released, and then returned again. For him, prison wasn't a turning point, it was just part of the routine. And over time, something dangerous began to develop. Confidence. The kind that comes from getting away with things over and over again. Then came the 1970s, and that's when everything changed. This is when Samuel Little began targeting people, not randomly, but strategically. He chose women who were already vulnerable, people living on the margins of society, often overlooked, often unheard. And that choice was deliberate, because he understood something most people don't think about. If someone isn't seen, they're less likely to be missed. His method was simple. No gun, no knife, no weapon. Just his hands. He used strangulation. Quiet, controlled, personal. There was no loud noise, no obvious trace, and often no clear connection between him and the victim. This made it incredibly difficult for law enforcement to track him, and because of that, he kept getting away with it. From the 1970s to the early 2000s, he moved across the United States. Different cities, different victims, same method. But here's what made it even worse. No one connected the cases. They were spread out. The victims were overlooked. The pattern went unnoticed. And that's how he became invisible. What makes this even more disturbing is that he lived a double life. On one side, he was committing these crimes. On the other, he appeared completely normal. He did odd jobs, interacted with people, and at times even presented himself as someone with a background in boxing. Nothing about him immediately raised suspicion, and that's exactly why no one saw him coming. Then in 2012, everything changed. He was finally arrested, but not for murder, for a smaller, unrelated charge. And that's where the story takes a turn. The FBI got involved. Old cases were reopened. Evidence was re-examined. DNA testing began linking him to unsolved murders from years, sometimes decades earlier. Slowly, the truth started to come together. Then came the interrogation. Most people expected denial, silence, resistance. But instead, he started talking. One victim, then another, then more, until the number reached 93. 93 lives. At first, even investigators struggled to believe it. But as he provided details, locations, timelines, specific memories, those details began to match real cases. This wasn't exaggeration, it was reality being uncovered piece by piece. But the most unsettling part was still ahead. He remembered them. Not just numbers, but faces, expressions, details. While in prison, Samuel Little began drawing portraits of his victims from memory. Each sketch represented a real person, a life that had once existed, but had been forgotten. Those drawings became critical. They helped investigators identify victims who had remained unknown for years. Families who had spent decades without answers finally began to get some form of closure. But there was something deeply disturbing about it too. The only person who truly remembered these victims was the man who took their lives. In the end, he was convicted and sentenced to life in prison. He never walked free again, and in 2020, he died behind bars. But this story really doesn't end there, because the real question still remains. How did it go on for so long? How many lives could have been saved if someone had paid attention earlier? The truth is, the real horror isn't just the existence of someone like Samuel Little. The real horror is how easy it was for him to go unnoticed. Because sometimes, the most dangerous people aren't hiding in the shadows. They're living right in front of us. And the scariest part, we don't see them until it's too late.